Does it really make a difference what coffee I drink? I mean, I want to be healthy. I heard about this one coffee where they get it to you and it has no special microbials in it, and you gotta drink it with a special kind of tropical fruit oil in order to get all the health you need out of it. And you gotta put lots of fat in there. Lots of fat makes it taste good, makes it super good for your body, for your system. Yes, that maybe I need that one exact special brand. Maybe that's what will do it for me. Is that just like buying an aerobicizer? Maybe it's kind of like one of those infomercials that told me that one exercise equipment I've had for 12 years and I don't use at all. Although, maybe the coffee in the canister's good. Well, my grandpa drank it and he's just fine. Maybe that coffee in the bag at the grocery store that's all black and oily. You know what? I saw it in the bulk department. It was such a good price, and you could grind it right there. Maybe that's the healthy one. There's a lot of gimmick with these whole third wave roasters. I don't know if you heard about the first wave being first wave's like, commodity proletariat style coffee. It's just standard no love coffee, ground up, put in a can. You take a couple scoops and drink it every day, right? And then there's second wave coffee. Yeah, now we're making espresso drinks, more expensive drinks, putting a little more the whole lifestyle into it. It's cool to drink this coffee, and now I'm buying it at the grocery store, and it's got a bunch of neat names to the blends and stuff. This is really cool. Maybe that's the healthy coffee. It's good middle of the road. I mean, that's pretty premium, isn't it? Yeah, but what is the healthiest? I don't know. Well, what would be the healthiest of a fruit or vegetable? It's a fruit, right? It's still a fruit. I know we don't find it in the produce department, but it actually is the same as produce. But there's more steps to it, right? So third wave coffee actually is healthier. And I'll tell you why it's healthier. Third wave coffee, by the way, is coffee that you know who grew the coffee. You know what part of the farm it's from. You know when they harvested it, which days that they separated. You know the amount of care they put into separating the ripe and underripe fruit and the overripe fruit so that you get only the perfectly ripe fruit. That makes a difference, right? I mean, do you think it's going to be healthy to eat a bunch of underripe green stuff that's not developed, or to eat a bunch of rotten stuff that's shriveled up and moldy? Of course not. It's going to be a lot cleaner for your system to take in coffee that's all been harvested nicely, just like a fine wine or anything else. And they do make that comparison a lot when it comes to third wave coffee to the whole wine world, because of the fact that obviously it's a similar amount of care that's being put into the product. But from strictly a health standpoint, I would say it's not the curly mustaches or the schnazzy little golf caps or any of the suspenders or any of that makes a coffee healthy. Or that's what, it's employing some style. And I think style never hurts, because it's basically like art, right? Without art, the world wouldn't be nearly as beautiful. So I appreciate those characteristics. I'm not into doing any of that stuff. I'm more about the substance. I'm more about just getting the very best coffee I possibly can get. But when it comes to health, I would say coffee is like berries. They're the two highest used concentration of pesticides put into food products. And people get really big on organic because to them, it just tells them that's a health thing for them, right? It's also a lifestyle thing. Green colors, brown colors, I've talked about this before. A lot of that is about marketing, and the whole organic thing has really become a lot about marketing. But I know for the consumer, they just want something that they know there weren't chemicals put in it. And when you're buying third wave coffee, I'd say 99% of the time, it's natural grown coffee. And the reason why it's natural grown is because that's what creates the best tasting coffee. All the conditions create the perfect storm for the best flavor. So you do a certified organic, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be amazing coffee, but yes, it will be healthier. So I'd say that's one thing you could go with. But when it comes to third wave, that's implied, because third wave is taking it a step beyond organic to an even healthier state. Because the truth is, organic doesn't mean there's no pesticides or fertilizers. It just means they're naturally derived, or they're semi-naturally derived. They aren't just laboratory chemicals. They're actually derived from other organic products, right? That you use in order to keep the coffee growing healthy. But what if you could create an environment? If you could visualize an environment where the soil is naturally healthy, it has all the microbials, all the things in it that will feed the plant and that will keep in perfect balance, just this great balanced ecosystem, and the surrounding plants, the surrounding wildlife, the surrounding sky, and what's in the sky as well as the earth. And it could grow perfectly just because it's in the right atmosphere without needing anything to feed it besides nature, without needing anything to protect it besides nature. That's 100% natural grown coffee. And those coffees are far and away 99% of the time better than a certified organic, and always going to be better than a pesticide grown coffee. When you grow coffee in the shade, really high up in the mountains, versus growing at a lower altitude and growing in full sun, or growing even in partial shade at a lower altitude, altitude makes a huge difference. Okay, that's where the ecosystem's right to grow the coffee. That's what the coffee likes, and it all grows around the equator, which they call a coffee belt. You're getting these other brands of coffee, these mass-produced brands, and I know you know the names, right? Everybody's been seeing the names for years and years, and there's certain good things that they brought to us, but health isn't so much one of them. As far as for your immune system, and I did another video on this, for the immune system, yeah, all the coffees will actually help, but for being the healthiest to put into your system, into your body, absolutely third wave coffee is healthier. And I think in most places, in most neighborhoods, you're going to find them. And I would say that if you want to thinking about coffee being healthiest it can be, I think a light roast is right where you want to be with that, or a medium roast. But when you get into dark roast, you're getting into carbon, carcinogens, burnt properties. They cause cancers, right? So it's clearly not going to be as healthy. I don't get concerned so much about the risk of it as far as drinking it once in a while, but if that's something you drink every day, it is something to be considered. It's just like when you get a steak that's really charred. If you were to eat that charred steak every day, that's a lot of carcinogens in your system. So it is something to consider. And that's another thing about third wave coffee. When you put this much care into the preparation and growing of the coffee, you're gonna not want to burn it. And at length into being tired of it, you know, I've talked about the difference in dark roast coffees and burnt coffees and quality coffees and all this stuff. Well, when you start delving into any product, you'll see that the more refined, the higher quality it gets, the more subtle and the more delicate the flavor of if it's a specialty food, like olive oil. If you want a really flavorful olive oil, you actually don't want to get extra virgin. When you get extra virgin, you're getting a very light, delicate olive oil. It's great for finishing. It's great for putting on top of things. But when you want to create flavor in a dish, if you want something to soak up with your bread that's got a lot of flavor, actually, I used to work at a world-class, really famous restaurant where they used pumice oil, which is the third pressing. So the first pressing is extra virgin, second pressing standard olive oil, third pressing is pumice. That's like taking the stems and seeds, the pits and the skins and everything and squeezing that last squeezing out. It actually have more flavor. So I will say dark roast can be a stronger flavor, but if you learn how to brew and you follow my other videos and you go to a cafe that really gives a lot of care into how they prepare their coffee, this coffee right here I'm drinking, it's full of flavor, and it's super smooth and super naturally sweet and flavorful and balanced, and it's not cloyingly sweet, it's subtly sweet, and there's subtle delicious flavors in there, and it's like the most refined, cleanest thing, but it's got so much body. And I roasted this coffee as light as you can go. It's my Yemeni coffee. I played around with it on the menu in different roast levels, and they're all awesome because it's an amazing coffee. But once you get into just the first couple seconds of dark roasting to just the beginning of it, it adds a burnt element to it. And when it comes to your health, like getting these refined third wave light roast coffees versus buying these mid-grade burnt coffees or these low-grade coffees that are just mass-produced crap, It makes a difference going into your system. So yes, third wave coffee is healthier. Try it out, drink it on a regular basis. You're going to notice that the difference in the feeling is going to go from being either this thing where you have to drink tons of cups of it all day long, or I hear this from people. They have to drink tons of cups of coffee all day long. So they think they're saving money, but they're spending so much time and so much money actually in the fact that they're drinking their coffee super fast, versus where you get an amazing ultra premium third wave smooth refined well produced coffee that costs more on the front side. You only need 1 or 2 good cups a day. Maybe you get into drinking more, and that's awesome. But to get that same satisfaction, I can get the same satisfaction, actually far superior satisfaction, in a few sips of this coffee right here than I would get from drinking a whole pot of some medium or low grade coffee. That would actually make me feel shaky. And the first times that I drank a really premium coffee, I was like, why do I feel so smooth? I was used to feeling cracked out because I would go to these famous cafes, not famous because they're the very best in the world, famous because they have the most stores and the most people go to them, right? Mainstream kind of coffee stores where you see one on every corner, you know what I'm talking about. And that coffee would make me feel like cracked out. I'd go to work and I'd be like, drinking a large one of those every day. First time I drink a medium roast, I'm like, I'm not feeling quite as much of that edge, and get into light roast. But what I noticed is it made me feel amazing, like this good feeling for hours and hours and hours. And I'd say it's like this smooth soaring feeling versus like this crash. I would rather feel like this all day long. You know what I'm saying? Try some third wave coffee. Go on my website. I have awesome coffees. I roast them super fresh. Freshness is going to make a difference for your health too, because there's a lot more antioxidants and a lot more free radicals in something fresh than something that's been sitting. So that's one more way that third wave coffee is going to make a difference in your health. And it's going to make a difference in just how you feel every day. And how we feel is number one priority in life. We could say this matters to me, that matters to me. It only matters because you feel like it'll make you feel better. You could say, well, I just want to be a good person. You want to be a good person because it makes you feel better. You want to treat your kids right because it makes you feel better. You want to be with someone that you love because it makes you feel better. This will make you feel better. Happy day. I'm going to go drink more coffee and feel better. Join me.